It is 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order. Roll call has been taken. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Bart, second by Ross to approve the agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Minutes of the previous meetings. Motion by Bart,
Second.
second by Dave to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. Any questions? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public appearances. Let the record state someone is here. Monthly businesses. Approve the vouchers and the checks.
Motion approved.
Motion by Ross.
Second.
Second by Dave to approve the vouchers and the checks. Any questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Review the prior month income statement. Anybody have any questions? If not, we'll move on. Council acts affecting the utility, resolution 17.
Oh, we don't have that in the packet.
Resolution 17, 2024, approved City of Juneau welcome sign.
I included it in there because of the object that we have to do, but I wasn't sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anybody has any questions on that? Nick has all the answers, or supposedly. Consumption and loss. Anybody have any questions or on that?
Just soggy.
Yeah, so I looked up basically the worst part around it was we got 2 inches of rain right as the frost came out. So I believe that's when it was, at least, because looking at the highs and the lows for the day, it all went right in the sewer. We had 4 days above 1 million gallons a day and 8 days above 800,000, which if you look at our January flows, our regular winter flow was like 530,000. So we had a really bad week.
How are we doing right now? Because the ground's kind of
We're not doing great anymore.
I was gonna say the ground's saturated. There's nowhere for the water. There's no
yeah.
place for the water to go except
It's,
somewhere else because the the ground's saturated.
I got it here somewhere. May. I mean, we had a couple of days mid 800s, so
Yeah, well.
Not as
like
bad,
Like I
but-
said, but the ground, I mean, the ground right
It's
now, I
getting-
mean,
not
the ground's
getting bad.
saturated.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had probably 5 days at the end of the month that were around 800,000. So it's not gonna be a good one again.
And as bad as April.
Not yet.
Yeah.
If it
Well, May
rains
is
this
over.
week like they're talking,
Right, May is over.
also true.
They took away the rain for tomorrow, so far.
And then rain the next day.
Subject to change. It is Wisconsin.
Where'd you find the frost? I didn't find it this year.
Well,
Must have evaporated.
Well, but the thing about it's been, even then it was wet, so,
yeah, it was, first week of April was wet. Wet.
yeah.
All right. All right, review totals of delinquent customers.
We have like 5 disconnects. Five
Yeah.
disconnects. Man's doing awesome.
Anybody still off?
There's one off yet.
She didn't figure that one was coming back on
Right.
when I talked to her.
Yeah, we always bite our, we used to bite our tongue and like, oh, what are we gonna get this month? And it's been doing great. Staying on them.
Yeah, we usually had anywhere from like 8 to 10 bottom line there. She's well,
She's doing fine. All right. Reports of officials, utility accountant.
All right, so on item number 1, this has to do with us changing the banks over to farmers and merchants. I was talking to Megan, she said that I need to be put on as a signer so we can pay our bills and sign the checks like I had been doing over at Landmark. And then when I talked to
So you were
her-
doing this at Landmark?
Yeah.
Signing checks to pay the bills there? So
Yes.
it's just kind of.
Yeah, we just have to, it's a formality to get me to be able to do that at the new bank. And then she also suggested as a precautionary that I should be put onto the utilities LGIP accounts, because we did transfer a lot of money into those, for the investment aspect of it. And, she's a signer and Pam up at City Hall is a signer right now. But they thought because of being in utility, she thought that I should be on as just a precautionary in case we need to have these approve something. The only thing that we really transfer out of there, we have the money in, we moved all the money from Landmark for the equipment replacement fund and the DNR replacement fund. Those are now in the LGIP accounts, so now when we have an invoice that we pay, we'll be needing to transfer the money out of the LGIP into the checking account. So that would be the only purpose that I would be approving any monies leaving that. So we just need to have a motion on those to approve. Especially the one for farmers and merchants, because otherwise I have to take everything over to Megan and have her sign all the checks and whatever, so. But I've been doing that before at Landmark.
What is your pleasure, guys?
I think we want the gals from the city to be taking care of our bills from the LGIP accounts. I mean, not that they can't, but having them do our work.
Yeah, it's an extra step. I have to email Megan and tell her the invoices and how much to move and where to move it and whatever, and so it is more work for her.
Well, then somehow we'd be paying
Mm-hmm.
the deputy.
Especially when I don't give you enough notice to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we add Lori as a signer at Farmers and Merchants utility checking account and the utilities LGIP accounts. That she can take care of our business.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Dick. Motion is by Dave, second by Dick. Any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Okay, thank you. And then the second item is the borrowing that the city is doing with the $3 million in GO debt, the general obligation debt. At the time that Megan was talking with Baird about the borrowing, she knew of the next street project that was coming up. So she had put $500,000 in there borrowing for the utility and to be able to cover the street project for East Oak from Fair to Main Street, I think is the next section. I can't keep that road just straight with all that stuff. Anyway, so we just need to have you guys approve that, yes, we are doing that $500,000 as a portion of that GO debt for us. And then I had included a copy of the resolution in your meeting packet that I emailed. I have a copy here. I didn't put it in your packet because it's 22 pages long. And it's like the standard verbiage stuff. So if
Question,
anybody wants to review it, I think I've got it here.
do you need to borrow that money?
But, and, because when I talked to her the other day, she said that the quote that came in was only gonna be for the stormwater, storm sewer, and not storm, sanitary sewer.
When she approached me initially about borrowing $2 million for the city and $5 million for the utility, and I said, well, I thought the utility was covered for their projects. I thought she meant the one that's ongoing right now.
Right.
And she says, no, I think that one is covered. And I says, well, they'll have next to nothing on the remaining block because they said the utility work is all being completed this year, the remainder of the water services, unless Alex, you got something that popped up with water main or whatever, but.
There is, there's sanitary on the far east end of it for the pizza shop, and then next to it going to the east. So there is a short section of sanitary.
She's got the bid from MSA came in for sanitary at like just under 80,000 or something.
Yeah, as I said, it'd be very little that'd be left for the utility on that,
Right.
so. Certainly
So-
don't want to get you involved in a borrowing if you don't need it, I guess.
I mean, we did run into that water main is going to need to be replaced with the project, because it hadn't been,
4.5.
it hadn't been replaced as we thought it was.
Huh.
But, the estimate on that was, I don't have an MSA estimate, but straight from, Jerry's mouth with R.D. Schmidt was like $100,000.
So what was down there, Ross?
Did it stop at Miller Street?
Yeah, we had Miller Street that was tied together with several lead services. Yeah,
So they opened up a service right there. They could see the old excavation was just for where it used to connect to Miller Street, and it stopped there.
so was that just a
So
connect to
it
Highway
was-
26 at the time?
It was just to disconnect Miller Street, add a hydrant, and that was it.
And tie on to 26.
And then the other side of it was to tie into 26. So all they did was added 100 feet of pipe and a valve. So the western 100 feet was replaced.
Oh, okay. Well,
And then the hydrant was added on.
but then my memory is really going bad. And I thought, God, if they didn't do anything, I remember
Yeah.
that being opened up in the
Yeah.
parking lane there for,
So they did a portion of it, but yes, the bulk
is
of
that
it,
portion gonna be salvageable or?
I would imagine. I guess I don't know. But they went with 10-inch for what they tied in, which what is there is 8. So I don't know what the engineers will say we should have there, but
The other.
And then,
Go
that
ahead.
same project, then that hydrant was relocated from in front of Miller's and brought across the street on Fair Street there.
yep. Cause so if you, I did a little bit of looking, the hydrant on Main Street is 1998, Miller Street is 1996, and Fair Street's 1995. I'm assuming these were all done at once, or maybe it was
2000,
3 years in a row.
2001 is when we did that main up
So
there.
they used some 3, 4, 5-year-old hydrants when
Okay.
they did it, I guess. But
Well, we might have had them in inventory or
right.
something.
I don't know if we inventoried hydrants at the time, but
We did,
yeah.
we did.
Um,
Well, now I feel a little bit better, I'm going batty there, and I certainly knew there's some main replaced there.
Yeah, so small portions of it, yes, but the bulk of it should be done.
Okay. So you might need 250,000 anyway by the time
Right,
it's
I
all
don't-
said and done, so I
Unless
guess
Nick
whatever
needs
you-
some of it, I don't think we need 500.
What we're getting from Barrett right now is an interest rate of 4 to 4.5 is what they're expecting. We can only cross our fingers and hope it comes in lower, but every day, if you follow what's going on in this country, interest rates are going up. Mortgage rates are about 7.5 now. So, yeah, it's up to you. I certainly didn't put you out there for that $500,000. She came to me and I kind of educated her and I said, well, I don't know if the utility needs that much money for the remainder of the project, so.
Well, and the other thing that she and I discussed that I didn't check with Justin at Baird yet, is to, I don't know if within how this is worded, the resolution is worded, or how the borrowing is going, if we wanted to do like a payback to the water department for the project that's going on now, because that was about 400,000, 450. And water did have the money for, or does have the money for, has been paying it, but,
Are we current with the electric department?
yeah.
Okay.
The
So
only
I don't
thing-
know if it would allow to pay back like we did with the sewer when we borrowed the last time and paid back the sewer department.
But you're borrowing at a much lower rate of interest.
The only thing
Yeah.
I would add is, it's gonna be in my project update, but ATC is redoing all their transmission poles in the north side of town. It's gonna be a substantial project for us up front, but a lot of those costs are gonna be recovered by ATC. So there's gonna be a payment made by us, it's gonna be returned by ATC. Of what portion that is right now, I don't know. There might be some work that's not gonna benefit us, that's gonna benefit us, or not gonna benefit them, but is gonna benefit us, that might not get covered. I just don't know what these costs are right now. We just sat down and talked to the engineers last month. Everything's early stage, but this project is tentative for November of next year. So
So we might need some money for that.
I think we'll be okay, but I just don't know. It's gonna be a lot of pipe and wire, no transformers. Transformers is what costs on our leg right now. Not that wire and pipe's not cheap right now, but I think I will be able to make it our budget. It's just not knowing how much we're gonna have to pay up front and then get reimbursed by ATC. That's what's in question right now.
They cover the cost of us carrying it for a period of time?
Of carrying what?
Carrying the cost. If we gotta borrow money,
No.
do they cover those costs?
I don't know. We walked through the plans, I sat down with my engineers, and that was it. That's all we got done so far.
See, at the time we rebuilt the 69 line from the north sub all the way out to the industrial park, because all those poles were outdated and what have you, they covered all of those costs plus any interest or.
They said whatever cost it takes for this to be de-energized, it's gonna be de-energized for three weeks, possibly more. For them to do that, they'll cover, and it's a substantial job. We're like,
Yeah, they never balk on
we
any
have
of
a lot
the
of
costs.
circuits that go north that we can't feed any other way, so we have to do a lot of underground work to make it happen. So, but we're trying to do it in a strategic way, that way it's not a waste for us. It's setting something up for us in the future. So I think it would be beneficial for the utility to do it. Like you said, Dan, the interest rates, you just don't know what's gonna happen. And 4.25, is that what you said? It's not terrible, it's not the best, but.
And who knows what happens after November. So yeah, if you, like I said, I just wanted to make it clear, I didn't throw that number, I didn't pick
Oh,
that
no,
number out of the air,
no, she,
because when.
no, she said the same thing,
Yeah.
that, you know, it's kinda like we just picked a number because of
Right.
knowing that there's projects coming up, but we didn't know how much they're gonna be at the time when she had to present
Right.
this to
'Cause
Baird and.
When she initially presented it to me, I kind of defended the utility. I says, well, if they got their costs covered for the present project that's underway, I says, they're not gonna have $500,000 in that final
Right.
block and whatever, so.
Right.
But I'm glad, Alex, you researched that a little bit further, whatever, so at least we know where we're at. May as well get it done once and for all. So,
You're gonna put new asphalt down after our South Street conundrum.
Yes.
I would recommend putting new piping under it first.
And that's already 22 years old. I think it was 2000, 2001 when we did that jump from 26 because they deemed we didn't have adequate fire protection with the loop that we had there at that time.
Out of curiosity, could we use some of that money to rehabilitate and change the medium in our,
Sounds like it's unrestricted money.
wells?
We do have to have it allocated, we can't just like take it, because I had asked Megan that too, I
You
said,
gotta
can we
have-
just.
Earmark.
We have to have it
Can't we
earmarked for
earmark some of
something.
it for the,
But
What's the
it's, I don't, it's
specifics?
not.
Can't you earmark it for maintenance, repairs?
Yeah, I think as long as it's
Sure.
not just like,
Because,
we're gonna borrow
I
this
mean,
money and go invest it and make
we're
money on
looking,
it.
you're looking
We
at
can't do
over
that.
$1 million for the you were looking
That
for
was
one.
for three, wasn't it?
That was for all three wells. The 1.2 you were looking at for rehabilitating the three well houses
So I
to
could
change the medium in the,
go pretty far for that.
for the filters.
New construction, repairs and maintenance.
Right.
Would that,
I
And
guess,
we can-
that would, I mean, at least
can
we
invest
could
in
get
the meantime, there's
one or
this
two of them done.
in 2025
And,
or
a project that I haven't pitched anybody yet, but I've had in the back of my head, is I think it would be beneficial for the sewer utility to get a emergency generator at lift station number 4 as well. And replace that electrical panel that is there, because in the event that we had a long-term power outage, we only have one trailer mounted generator, and lift station 1 will need it basically the whole time. So, we're in, just to come be prepared, I guess. That's in the back of my head anyway, because I don't know what we would do if we were in that circumstance. And that's, I guess, probably $80,000 to $100,000.
It happened once, and it was a nightmare.
We probably just have to pump it across the road into the ditch and report it. Report it to the DNR. Wow. So,
I remember when-
Careful of that.
I mean, they're looking at things that we could,
now that I got my feet wet with this whole generator thing.
And we do only borrow every other year, so there's.
You have a second year of
things-
things to, yeah.
Yeah. We've
So-
got things like Alex is saying, there's things that are gonna come up that we don't know of yet, that we could.
Yeah, I don't think there will be a shortage of opportunity for using that money.
so. What is your pleasure?
I want to borrow $1 million now.
$500,000 not enough, it sounds like.
2026.
If you want more things I want to buy, I can
Yeah.
spout them up.
I mean,
No.
I think we need to look at all options that are there. I mean, maybe a generator and redoing a well house, I mean, is a possibility.
for a well house or $2 million for a well house.
And if you're gonna build a new house or a new well or completely rehab one, it's
Not with all the bad plumbing,
gonna be a lot.
fire protection.
Just as long as we have it designated for,
Right.
because this is gonna happen in the next month.
This borrowing, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'll be following the
So-
next street commission meeting or before the next commission meeting?
I think they're approving it at this next council meeting next week.
Tuesday.
So we have to have $500,000 earmarked by next week.
I didn't realize you had to do that.
I don't think that, no, I don't think so.
Before
He's
it's
here.
We're gonna
Three
approve it
projects
this
and
Tuesday,
maintenance.
but it won't,
Right, it's not
it won't
happening.
happen until the end of,
It's before
end of
the first.
June or something like
Yeah,
that.
1st of July, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I just wish we had, I wish I knew more about what's gonna happen with ATC to
Was there something general, like you said, new construction and maintenance?
I
Is
think-
there
I
something
think that
general
we
that we
can-
can put it under?
Right.
Yeah.
But when you start talking about well houses and stuff, that's,
That gets a
that's,
little specific.
yeah.
And we are already, when we did the investigation, we were already approved for clean water loans. If we want to take that road for those projects. So.
Okay.
We have separate financing needs.
But you,
We don't have any restricted accounts that extend out to the lift stations?
You could run that through
Yeah.
the
Yeah, the
replacement
DNR.
fund.
Oh.
yeah.
Well, that
But-
would make the most sense.
So the thing with that is I don't know how the language works for upgrading versus replacing. Because yes, I want to replace the panel, but that's only 10, 20,000, whereas upgrading the generator is the 40,000.
You don't need that big a generator on that lift.
I heard the quote was already 34,000 for the generator and transfer station. Roughly. Their lead times are dramatically lower now, though. They got caught up.
So this would be another portable generator that we
No,
can use
that's
elsewhere?
permanent.
That would be it.
I prefer to have it at lift station 1 by the library there. That's where we need it, but there's just, because it's in the terrace, there's no reasonable place to put it.
without running one.
You'd have to run it off the back side of the
You got a
courthouse.
generator in someone's rear easement, that's.
Not really. Whereas at least at lift 4 by Bullseye, we own the property there. So it makes it a lot less messy.
But if that neighbor's able to flush the toilet,
They might be more happy about it.
I mean,
Yeah, because when it rains, lift station 1 runs every 15 minutes, whereas lift 4 runs probably every 30 to 45. So by the time I can get an operator here, get the generator out there, get it running, I want to at least make sure I can either get to one or the other and leave it there, you know. So at least we gotta have one that's for sure running. In my opinion.
20 years ago, we were talking about getting a natural gas-fired generator for out at the substation out there. That would have solved all our problems. And imagine what the cost of it is now after what it was there. Back then, when we looked into it, it made our heads spin.
You know, was gonna supply the whole town,
No, just your,
certain industrial.
yeah, just for circuit code, so we could help ourselves in a disaster or whatever.
so,
At the time the thing was being
do
constructed.
we want to go with 500,000?
I'm assuming it's too late to change
Yeah,
it,
I'm
it's either
guessing
yes
we're
or
supposed
We
no.
can
Probably
go, we can
stop
go.
obligated, I mean.
I think we can go
Yeah.
down, but we can't go up.
I would
Yeah, 500.
Does this, so, if this is earmarked towards, say, sewer utility, does this affect rates in the future?
I would probably just word
Like
it towards
how-
utility, if I was gonna make such a
Say how
motion.
all that work MSA did to make sure our rates were proper with the wastewater project.
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think it would just play into your budget with your expenses then going forward. It shouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think it would affect that. Because it's being earmarked for different projects rather than like running.
I don't know how that works. So,
Well, I would suggest that we approve it, I'm just suggesting that we do a motion.
Say
I
what?
I would suggest that we approve it for the utility, and then if we have to designate it,
We can have another
we
meeting.
can have another, we'll have a special meeting to get it done. But for tonight, let's just
Approve it.
approve it.
You making a motion to do that?
I will make a motion to approve borrowing $500,000 for the utility.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Dick, second by Bart to approve that.
Yes.
Is there any more discussion?
I'm sorry, who's the second?
Bart? If not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Anything else from Laurie?
Yes, something that has been brought to our attention and talked about is a lot of the utilities, the offices and city halls and whoever office people are going to summer hours to match their summer hours with their guys. So I just thought I'd bring it up to see what you guys thought about us doing the same hours as Nick would be doing. With the Monday through Thursday, we do 9-hour days and then a half a day on Friday. And depending on what you think, we can put it in the next meeting for motion or whatever, if we need to do that.
I know Pond does it, Columbus does it.
You get a lot of
Wasn't it
people that come
Waterloo?
in.
I think Waterloo just changed over.
I think Waterloo does it. No, all those three are all year. That's not just summer, that's all year.
With a lot of other people having Fridays off, do you get any more people paying bills on Friday or people coming in?
Not really.
That you
We
notice
have,
at least?
it's basically, if the due date is on the weekend, Fridays can be busy. But we have the Dropbox. So we had talked about that, or we thought maybe what we could do is one of us do on that weekend when the due date is, that one of us does Friday afternoon, one does Monday morning, or something like that, so we can always work out that, so that the office can stay open that day, but that would be confusing for the rest of the days, or for the rest of the weeks that we would be closed on Friday afternoon, so.
And if, I guess if they're concerned with staying open, I mean, one of you could just alternate, one of you always has Monday, one of you always has Friday or something, you would
Right.
open to that,
Right.
just to keep it open.
Yeah, for the office concern.
It's something to think about. That was all I would say.
Okay.
We bring it up bring it for next
Make
month.
a motion next month, or
Put it on the agenda for next month,
that's okay.
because it isn't on here.
Right.
All right?
Yeah, it just kind of was brought up the other day, so.
We can do a little more investigating with the other utilities around and also city halls, how they work it.
It's only 1 month, but it gives the gals time to write down how many people come on.
Do a little research on your part.
Later in the day.
Yeah, Friday, this past Friday, Pam was off in the afternoon, so I was the only one here and I had 2 people. So,
For your information, Pam's father passed away
yeah, last Monday.
last Monday. She's been working. She coming in, she's still coming in, the funeral will be Friday, this coming Friday, so.
Other than that, I think we've touched base on the disconnects and how Pam's been doing with, collecting money and getting people on payment plans and keeping them on their payment plans. She doesn't mess around with them, and they have a payment plan, and if they're not there, they're off it, and they're gonna be disconnected, and everybody's finally understanding that she's sticking to her word, and, you know, and as always, she's always listening to their story and making sure that if it's legit or not. But we had the regular people the last few years that were always being disconnected, and she doesn't have that anymore. The ones that we were always disconnecting, I don't think this past month we didn't have any of them. Did we have?
No.
I think that all of the regular disconnect people,
Let's make it.
they're paying. She got them turned around, or they moved, one of the two of them. So, yeah. One of them went to a pond,
Scare
and we
'em all.
kind of joke about, I wonder what she's doing out there. But, so yeah, disconnect's been really smooth, and the office has been running well, so. I think that's all I got.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Lori? If not, we'll move on. Nick?
We have had a busy May. In case you noticed there, we were awarded the gold MUW Safety Award. This is something we apply for every year. Out of all the members out there, there's about 20 that have got gold, and then there's silver and bronze based on your tailgating. We do work procedures before our jobs. You got to get proof for that. Something that caught my attention is that they mentioned that there was only 2 utilities that were not part of the MUW safety program where we have Fair Graham. There were only 2 members that got the gold, and we were one of them. So it basically said that it's been impossible for people to get the gold and not be part of their safety program because it's skewed towards their program in a way. So we've been able to get gold quite a few times, and I think we got 1 bronze many years ago, and it's because we have to use the injury factor, and it's the firemen are included in that, the police are included on that, so sometimes if there's injuries in other departments, it reflects our score as well. So, but the conference was good. We had a few storms come through, I'm sure you guys noticed. Our system held up really well. On May 22nd, we had 1 service, a tree branch fell down, ripped off the service. We were able to restore that quickly. I checked in on neighboring utilities, and Pond got hit really hard, so we ended up going over for mutual aid and helping those guys out. We did 5.5 hours of overtime and 2 hours of regular time there. I think we put in 17.5 hours straight that day. We had some minor street lighting here in town that went down, and baseball lights by the community center. And we ended up just taking the softball light, the wiring down because it was damaged. We would have had to replace all of it. It was the steel conductor ripped out in the ACSR in multiple spots. And so with the talk of taking the lights down, we just decided we weren't going to put them up and invest all that money in. And for what? So we got the street lighting back up, but the ball lights do not work in the outfield. That Sunday after, so the 26th, I got a call for an underground fault on the North Highland stretch between East Oak and Center Street. And if you guys recall, that's all new construction. So when I got the call, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here? And what ended up happening was we got the person up with power in about 45 minutes with one of our, it's called a server restorer. We're able to put it in their meter socket. They have one leg energized yet. It splits the two legs, or splits the one leg into two, and they got 100 amps worth of service, which is good for most residential homes in Juneau. We found the fault, and gas came in after us. Gas hit our brand new wire. So we took pictures. We will be signing a bill. We'll see what happens if we get paid or not. The gas line isn't like on top of it or anything, but you can tell they shoveled down to expose our line, hit it with a shovel. It takes rain to get in there, and we had a lot of rain this last month, and she faults out on us. So we got that up and running and restored the landscaping. The East Oak Road project, street lighting, we got the pipe in all the way up, just up to the post office. So as they're tearing out the road base, putting in the new road base, we're getting our pipe in and just following suit. It's been kind of difficult juggling all the jobs, running over there quick, you know, before they put the breaker in to get ours in, but we're managing, we're getting it done. Wastewater treatment plant service update. We got the transformer. The transformer ended up being the same size as a 2,000 kVA transformer, meaning it weighed 10,000 pounds. Our digger derrick does not lift 10,000 pounds. We have a 7,000 winch capacity. And we don't have a shackle to parallel the line. I actually got one on order to do this in the future because I asked the manufacturer why did this happen, and because of lead times, they're now making a standard 3-phase tank. That they're just making the same size tank for 300 kVA and above, and you're having added oil that is increasing your weight. The core will be smaller, so like a 300 kVA is definitely not going to weigh the same. But overall, the size of this was just huge. And with that, when I ordered it over a year ago, so 56 months, or 6 weeks ago, I requested that they give me a footprint for the transformer, that way we can get the pad ordered. And we had the pad in for 3 months, and go figure, it didn't fit the pad. So we had to take out the pad. Thankfully, Columbus had one in their yard. I ran that night to grab it because the project is waiting on us. Was waiting on that transformer, picked it up that night, we set it in the morning, set the transformer. I will be sending a bill to the transformer manufacturer because I do have proof that they gave me the dimensions were wrong, and we'll see what happens with that as well. We did the riser this morning and carried into the rain. We almost got the bucket truck stuck, so we weren't leaving until we got it done, even if that might get rained on. So Alex came over and had to do a beat of ground in for me a little bit because Nick had to run to the East Oak project to get some of the pipe in. So we got it all energized. We tested it, checked rotation, everything's ready to go. It's open backed up, we placed grounds, we're waiting for people to pull power in to the secondary side. CT cabinets up. WPPI is going to do the metering because we're always we're always 10 hours under our shared meter technician program. So I'm having them do the wiring to use up some of our allotted program contract that we had with them. Sunset View update, all the duplexes are energized. We're at a standstill right now with the rain and the black dirt pile that they got in the northeast corner. So as soon as they can get some dirt moved, we'll be able to continue, but we're stuck right now. Not until they move the job trailer or the dirt pile. But we got the pipe going in across the north drive, private drive, so when they blacktop it, we're already in there, so we're not holding anybody up.
Nick, are they gonna put additional cover on those ones that are on the west side where the incline is so steep?
So,
How much cover
Do
do
you
you have on
see-
there then?
how much cover do I have?
Yeah.
I have 2.5 feet.
Oh, you do have?
Yeah. I did 2.5 going up that, and I didn't know what was going on, because I don't think anybody knew what's going on up there, to be honest. But if you look, I mean, that siding is
Yeah.
3.5 feet up from it, it's gonna look,
You know what
I
they're
don't
gonna be doing? They're gonna be coming back and pouring parapet walls to support that because it's all gonna continue to wash right down into the back gully there.
and I don't know who's gonna mow that. Like,
Yeah.
the only thing I could think of is they're gonna eventually put a retaining wall connected
That's
to
what I
it
mean.
and then landscape rock up it or something, but
Yeah.
something, I don't know. That might be something for the city to like, hey, what's gonna happen there, but,
Yeah, it
because you
looks-
know how vague the plans are, I try to think about the landscaping, what it even showed there, because you can't see elevation in the plans. when
As
it
nice
comes-
as it looks on the front side of both of those buildings,
Yeah.
it's just terrible on that
Right.
west exposure,
Right.
you know? I mean, it looks like army barracks, the way
Right.
it's all lined up there. And like you said, I can't see any grass growing on there, and I don't think you'd ever get seed to take, you know?
And I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, thankfully, we bought that winch for that excavator, because I don't know how else we would have been able to do it. At 53-degree angle slope, I don't know what they're gonna do in the back on the east side there either, because that is steep.
Well, you could be even prod them along, that isn't even safe for you to stand in front of a meter socket and pull a meter with that kind of
No.
incline.
And a couple times we took a step back, we almost,
Yeah.
it's tough. So, yeah, I don't know what their game plan was to, if you notice the cleanouts for the sewer, I
Yeah.
think that's gonna be the height of black dirt. So that's not much.
No,
It's like maybe a foot more black dirt's gonna go in there.
I think you should push it on your end of things, that, hey, this isn't even safe for us to pull meters.
Well, I talked to Don or Eddie about that, cause I go, cause when we were digging in these services, I said I dug those at 2.5 feet, not knowing exactly what you guys are gonna do. You guys are going up to that, right below that siding, right? That's why you guys are stepping that down. And they're like, no, like, we're only going up to where you see those cleanuts. I'm like,
Then why is
didn't
the
you bring the siding
Yeah,
down?
why is the siding up like that?
And it's gonna look ridiculous now. So,
That's
I don't
too
know.
bad.
So that's Sunset View update, Fair Street update. You guys noticed the last commission meeting, we talked about the parking lot crossing. That has been installed and restored, black dirt. H&H is a contractor for Charter. Charter's finishing the job. They are not waiting. So I shifted our cable replacement budget over to that, to at least go down the alleyway with them, because it's gonna be super congested if we wouldn't have gone with them. Everything's gonna be in budget, for the job, so what we allocated for cable replacement and, new construction just got moved over to that. Talked to you a little bit about the ATC update. There's nothing really more to talk about. They're going from Beaver Dam to Hubbard, so that whole Y-134 line that goes along the north side of Juneau, all the way from Beaver Dam to Horicon is getting redone. I walked through with ATC and MJ to talk about what they're needing from us. ATC's got a big checkbook to let us know what it's going to take to get this de-energized, and that's basically all that details I got. I had a meeting with Forrester. We have a pretty good plan in place. It's the next steps are going to be sending it over to ATC, getting approval of the work to be done, and then just going from there if there's going to be any variations to that plan or not. The GIS update that we approved a long time ago, that's in our budget through WPPI, it's just like the shared meter technician. I had my first meeting with Tyler. He is an engineer from Power Systems Engineering, who we've dealt with a little bit in the past, so he already has a good understanding of our system, and he's gonna do a lot of work to our mapping, and he's already has, you know, he knows his stuff here. A lot of this stuff was over my head, and he's like, yeah, I want to do that. So it went good. We have orientation at WPPI the 19th. Myself, Nick Cook, and Bart Coons. We finally got that situated with the registration, so The bucket truck went into production at utility sales, so we should be getting it near the end of June. There was a new service request on North Main Street. The service request estimate came in at about $1,000, and I made a negotiation deal with the owner. We have a big maple tree that's our problem tree, or we rate that as our problem if something would happen to the wind. It would cause a lot of damage. It grows up into our lines every year. It's a silver maple, so we agreed that if he allows us to be able to take that tree down, that we would do that service at no cost, because it's a nice tree, and so we agreed to that. And that's, oh, and then this winter, I'm gonna do some dabbling in some grant writing. The discussion for our city moving forward and our system voltage is eventually doing a voltage conversion, and just looking at costs of what we're gonna incur as a city with all the transformer changeouts is, we're talking millions. So I'm gonna see, I'm just gonna keep writing grants, and hopefully we get one, and buy an abundance of transformers at a time, and get changing some out. So that's all I got.
Does anybody have any questions for Nick?
Who, as far as these grants that you're talking about, who's providing the grants?
So there's
Federal government?
There's federal government. Yeah, we had a meeting 5 months ago. There's 2 websites that we as utilities, electric utilities, can go to, and always the big discussion was there's so much that we don't qualify because we're not a big enough utility. But I figured I'm gonna try and grant write, because we are a small utility and we don't qualify for these big grants, and kind of go the political route, reach out to our senators and go that route, so we can do. What we can do is try.
What's the voltage conversion? I might have missed that somewhere.
So we're at 2400, 4160, so 2400 on one wire, 4160 between wires. It's the lowest system voltage a utility can offer. The lower the voltage, the less you can travel that voltage, and load capacity as well. As far as load capacity goes, our substations are about half loaded. It's our center customers, especially our industrial customers like the jail, is who we start seeing affected by it. And we, in the summer, we'll have voltage issues. I'll get 1 or 2 calls saying that, hey, our voltage is low, our generators are kicking on. And there's nothing we can do, because we already designated a circuit on our north substation that only has a few residential customers on it and them, and we're still having the same effect on it. It's a system voltage that doesn't allow for growth. And I know Whiskers is looking at expanding as well. I think Juneau's sitting in a good place where we will start growing slowly. Like, this has been the most growth I've seen in the 11 years that I've been here. I've put in 3 services in my first 8 years, and I think we put in 16 in the last 2 years, not including the Sunset View. So it's just planning forward. It's a future, I think this is a 10, 15-year plan. But if EV vehicle stuff takes off, it's gonna be quicker. That's where the 2400, 4160 will not handle an EV growth.
So then what's the next step?
Next step is exactly what we're doing, is I'm buying all.
What's the next step in voltage?
7200, 1249. Yeah, sorry. So we're already buying dual voltage transformers. So the transformers that we put in can handle 2400 or 7200. There's a switch that you're only utilizing half the coil, the switch, or utilizing the full coil. And we're doing that with the 3-phase transformers as well. It's just, if you think about just our 3-phase transformers that are out there that aren't dual voltage, right there you're looking at over 2 million probably. A 3-phase transfer right now is anywhere from $20,000 to $80,000 depending on what size, so.
What are we gonna do with like Sensient then?
Sensing, we're gonna keep them primary meter, we don't have to worry about them. And we're doing our cable conversions, all 15 kV cable, so our cable's gonna be rated for it. We only have a couple more stretches in town. When I do cable replacement, that's what I'm doing. I'm replacing all our old open concentric that's not rated for the 15 kV cable. So we're doing good. We're doing what we should be doing. It's just, are we gonna get to a point where we gotta get there in 5 years? Because then that's gonna cost us a ton of money. Right now, our focus is gonna be on the west circuit. It'll be our industrial circuit. That's gonna go from industrial sub all the way to our north sub. And then they have these things called step-down transformers, where it takes 7200, 1249, and converts it to 2400, 4160. So we won't have to do a full conversion. We'll convert the west side, energize that at 7200, and then you have these step-down transformers strategically located, and you just eliminate section by section as you go. So.
Can you reutilize those step downs as you do different sections?
Yep. And that's what Columbus is doing that. I kind of already earmarked them, like, hey, when you guys are done with this, we'll buy them for.
80% of our transformers aren't dual voltage, are they?
No.
That's,
So can you sell those transformers then?
Yeah, so
Aren't dual voltage?
any transformer that doesn't fail, we do a 30 transformer replacement schedule, so I replace 30 transformers a year. That's what we've been doing anyways. So this year, 30 25 kV transformers will get replaced. Those 30 are going to come in our yard. Depending on what we have for stock, we're either going to hold on to some for outages. The rest are going to get sold because they're selling at a premium because transformers shorter, they can do rebuilds. We have 4 back there that we can sell. The other ones we couldn't sell because they had some PCBs in there, which I was surprised because we did that oil conversion before I started. So anything that doesn't fail, we sell.
So many transformers we have in town?
I just looked at that too. 392 single phase and 60 something 3-phase.
How many of them are dual
I'll
voltage?
just give you, we probably have 60 out there at dual voltage.
Between 3-phase and single phase,
Yeah. Just trying to figure out what. I mean, you're looking at 5 million just for the single phase, roughly. So,
but getting back to Sensient, they're gonna have to change all their transformers within too.
yeah. Or
And can
the
we-
thought is, for
can-
us, is that we put a step-down transformer.
Right, that
for
was that's what I
Yep.
was leading up
That's
to.
what I plan on doing.
Because I can't see them.
No, and they won't be, you can't force them to.
Right. Yeah,
So
you're
we
kinda pulling
have
the rug out from
earmarked,
underneath them.
and we have a good location to put it already, so it's already in our plans to do, to have a step down.
That'd be right by your metering point?
Yep.
Yep, I figured as much.
Okay. Any more questions for Nick? Okay, moving on. Alex?
First item on the agenda, review our compliance maintenance annual report. I have 2 copies just to pass around if anybody wants to look at them. It's a formality from the DNR, basically our report card saying we discharged these certain things, and we got a 4.0, so there's more or less nothing you have to be concerned about. So, yeah, so more or less I just need it to be approved to send to council, that they have seen it and are aware of it.
I'll make the motion to send to council.
second it. And I did read it in our packet. I'm not sure I understood all of it, but I did read through it.
Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Good job, so all of you in this one.
Very good job.
And then, I did have on here just to talk about our lateral ordinance. I did send it out to you guys, and it is in the packet. Just curious, any thoughts? How it reads? Do you agree
That was
with
a
it?
very good job. I read it.
Any of the underlying points that stick out or differently?
Has the attorney looked at this at all?
Not yet. I basically am just looking to see if you liked it before I spent money with the attorney to look at it.
Do you print any of those, Nick?
Yeah, every time a storm looks through it.
I had no problem, and I liked it. I think it covers all the points.
Because that was,
I thought it was an excellent job. And it's very good work done.
Will this be replacing?
no.
No, this is a new
Additional
thing.
ordinance. Okay.
And
That makes sense.
for like the places where there is no sidewalk, I said 12 feet, but I went around and measured all the streets. It looks like the edges of the sidewalk on the new streets are all 14 feet. Well, I found streets where they were between 10 and 12. I don't know what number, if we want to pick one.
Isn't it an 8-foot terrace, all 4-foot sidewalk?
Excuse me?
8-foot terrace, all 4-foot sidewalk, right?
Well, that's, 5 foot is our sidewalk standard.
So that's the 13.
But yeah, that all varies. Most of the time, the lot line is just inside the sidewalk, but that varies. Sometimes the sidewalk might overlap one way or the other, or there might be a little bit more of a gap. But,
And that's too, if you want to cover the full right of way, you know, and stay consistent with that, or you know, realistically, the bulk of the cost, if you're talking about doing that replacement, is in the sidewalk replacement. You know, it's an extra portion. So I mean, if you only want to do 5 feet past the edge of the road, I mean, or, you know, something just to, you know, I don't know.
routinely, our language in replacing a sewer lateral has always been to the property line.
Sure. So we're just gonna
So, you
a
know,
number at the property.
yeah,
That would cover most property.
that way at least you're, yeah.
Sure.
And like I was just thinking about your language you had where it doesn't go into a street boulevard like
There is
the,
one
like
specific.
the alley uptown and whatever, where
That's
they
the
follow
reason.
their whole back parking lot to the sewer main or whatever.
That's the exclusive reason that line is in there.
I'm glad you thought of that because, yeah, otherwise it kind of, well, my sewer doesn't go out the front of the building.
Exactly. And that's also older stuff that should be worked on. Well, the laundromat just had to have it worked on.
Yeah.
So,
It's bound to happen too.
so that's a hornet's nest that I don't want to touch on our end.
We still got one building that was taken down over the top of it. Still got 2 more.
Well, yeah. I guess I'm not 100% certain on the language and how it works with like assessing bills to properties and if it's an invoice or an assessment or how that all adds up. And that might be further clarified with the lawyer. That's just something I don't have experience with. And how you
Usually
can-
when it's initiated by the homeowner, it's paid for by the homeowner at the time of service. If it's initiated by the city, then we give them the opportunity of assessment for 6 years or whatever. If we instigate it, you know, then we give them the opportunity to pay it off in 6 years on tax assessment.
So I'm assuming that would have to be written in some form.
I would think it would be wise, at least you're not reading between the lines or
Right.
whatever. But
Okay. Yeah, then I did the 1 year to correct it. If you don't correct it within a year, it was, I just said $100 a month. I don't know.
that's very cordial.
I don't know.
It's, I thought it was,
I thought you did a good job.
I thought it was a very good job. I didn't think $100 a month
Well,
it isn't really, it's not really a exuberant charge.
But it hurts enough for them.
hurts enough to
Right.
build.
It's not just a little slap
Well,
on the wrist, it's
And then the last portion where I said, if you sign on to say, hey, we'll do this with the city as a project, we won't give you that charge. So, I mean, giving them options, I feel like. Yeah, and one thing that was, because I read through all the minutes where the city of Mayville had the same thing 8 years ago. And they did have a customer that chose because he was planning to sell the house anyway. He said, in a year or two I'm gonna move, so I'm just gonna pay the $100, and that's what he chose to do, so it's, you kinda have to plan on that.
Yeah, the thing was, he had to disclose that when he sold the house, though.
I guess.
Yeah, you would, that would be a,
yeah.
Yeah.
that's a known, I mean, he could be sued if he didn't disclose that, because that is a known, it was a known issue.
Right. So he must have, but yeah, it's out there. Is there anything?
I guess we can approve to send to the attorney.
Sure.
With the addition we had.
Addition of, assessment.
Yeah, assessment language or.
Do we wanna keep 12 feet? If technically it's 8 and 5, do we wanna go 13?
The lot line was, he said
This
the
is
lot-
on
Yeah.
no sidewalk.
And obviously,
Almost
the
sidewalk.
street designation, I would imagine, changes all that, so it's not a perfect science.
But this is only for if you don't
That's only
have
if you don't have
sidewalk.
sidewalk, correct.
See, the only problem I have is this happened when I worked at Columbus, is we had their language was that it's owned by the city to the back of the sidewalk, and they had a collapse right at that point, and they sued the utilities because their basement backed up,
So that,
and we lost.
that language came specifically from Columbus's ordinance. Because, and the walk around, the way I did this was because Columbus owns, it's written that they own to the edge of the right of way. And if there's dispute where the right of way is, then the city is responsible for hiring a surveyor.
Sorry.
So, Amber?
No, tornado warning.
For the rest of them, go on. Anyway, so that was kind of the walk around that we were hoping to accomplish, was that I don't want to be hiring a surveyor all the time to verify exactly who's responsible. So that's why we talked about just doing a specific footage where there's, a clean cut line.
I mean, to say 12 feet instead of 13, I don't see that as a huge issue, there's
I
no
don't-
sidewalk.
Either.
And if it
Dodge or-
does
yeah.
come a sidewalk, and you move to the other paragraph, then it's behind the sidewalk. So
It's not on my-
I think that should be, it should be good.
I don't know if we need a motion for that, if we're okay
Do we
with
need
it.
a motion to that, or just a consensus to send to the city attorney?
It might be for consensus.
Jefferson.
I think you'd have a motion if you have the form, final draft.
For a final one, I think for this, we
It says
just,
possibly approved. that's what we're-
Well, I didn't know how it needed to be in there, so that's just what we got.
I would just say we just recommend that you send it to the attorney.
Recommend send to the attorney.
I was trying to keep everybody in the loop.
Yeah.
Okay. Projects update.
Hold on.
Okay. We pumped out our north plant, our waste, at the wastewater plant, so that staff could start to dismantle the existing infrastructure there and start tying into the new aeration oxidation ditch. So no less are we having all this rain and infiltration and extra flow, but we only have half the capacity right now as well. So we're running some pretty tight margins, but we're holding up so far. I did have to send an email to Sensient, which I copied Mac on, because their discharge has been poor and there has been a lot of flow on top of the fact that we're at half capacity. So I'm gonna comb through the language of the contracts that we are in and just make sure. I'm under the assumption that we're still acting under the 2018 contract with Sensient for limits.
And it shouldn't be.
It
It shouldn't be on the, should
It
be.
didn't update to the new contract for limits because we don't have the new plant in place yet, correct?
I thought we were under the new contract for,
I think we are.
regardless, whether it's the old plant or the new plant. I
Okay,
thought
so
we
that
were-
did transition.
That was my impression.
That was,
Okay.
the fines went with the new
With
contract.
that too. Okay, so,
Correct, Lori? The fines are going with the new?
so I have to abide by the new limits.
Mhm.
Well, then they're gonna get a lot of water, so. Oh well, we'll make it work. And they were receptive. They did call after I emailed them just to clarify what we're going through. And I basically explained to them that I would really appreciate if you guys could keep production kind of.
Wouldn't hurt to send them pictures of what's
You know,
going on.
where-
Wouldn't hurt to
Right.
send somebody
And
those.
they asked if they could come by and just check it
Yeah.
out someday. And
Yeah.
that's, I told them.
Yeah, I would, those construction updates, I would think that might not be a
Sure,
bad
not
thing
either
to send to
one.
them as well.
Yeah.
I had a meeting with Dean, the new admin.
Yeah,
so
I sent it.
He's actually a really
He's
good guy.
pretty easy to work with.
The meeting went really well, and he was responsive because we have it's called a Trios poster at the warehouse, and we want to replace them. He's like, yeah, whatever you need from us, we'll do. So
He
I'm
has
used-
been good to
I'm
work
used to
with.
that.
Yeah.
He may not be the one.
Well,
Spending too much money.
I may fix that.
been there for about a year now, I think, that I've been dealing with him, so. Yeah, no, they've been, the hard part is they'll tell you to your face, like, yeah, we'll do everything you need, but then you get feedback
Mhm.
from the employees actually doing the work, and that is not the case, but we'll work through it. I just told them, play nice, otherwise odds are there's a higher chance of interruption of service right now because I cannot handle as much as I used to. So we're not gonna play as nice as we did before.
So are we short so the new one's online now, or?
Well, even the thing is, the first step of the new one being online is with the ditch working with only one clarifier. So I'm still limited on clarifier overflow rate. So it's until they get the second clarifier also tied in with the ditch, which is probably this winter, before we're fully up and operational. So it's gonna be.
Just getting an education here.
Yep, so it'll be, I mean, we're gonna be at half capacity until at least August, and then a little bit, more with the ditch online, and that'll still only be until having those October, November, December, when the second clarifier is online, so. And I told them that it's probably gonna be through winter where we're gonna be on some tight margins, so. Hopefully they can play nice and everybody can have fun in the sandbox and everything will go great. If it would stop raining,
Yeah.
we'd be fine.
What state do you live in?
Yeah, last year we got none. It's making up for it.
Yeah. So, that's, we talked a little bit before about how, we finished all of the water service and water main work on East Oak Street. We did find, like we talked about before, the water mains are likely going to need to be replaced with with the project for next year, which we weren't necessarily anticipating. Because they were not replaced as we had thought. They actually wound up pulling them into the street as opposed to when Town and Country did the full excavation. So I don't know if that's preferred or not from the people driving over them, but there's smaller holes in the street anyway, so that's appreciated. It's only for a year. We began our directional flushing program. I brought in a bag of goodies of things that came out of our water mains.
I was wondering where there was.
My wedding ring.
Just a couple of pictures of, and that's just what we caught in the strainer. Just the diffuser that we have has a certain size hole that it goes in.
They're stapled together. They're stapled together.
It's one pack.
Yeah.
So this is the,
So that's stuff from while we were flushing here.
but this is the scheduled thing that MSA put?
Correct.
together
That
for
is,
us?
that is us completing well, right now we're 3/4 of the way done with it. We're
This
on
is a
the last
once
week
a
of it.
year rotation thing?
So we're planning on doing this every spring.
Have you
This is
noticed?
the new way of flushing has brought these out.
Yeah. Heaven knows how long that stuff has been in there,
Right.
but the fact that we're getting that much out of a fire hydrant means we definitely have never moved water at the rate we are now. We estimated by the time we finish this flushing program, we'll be over 1.5 million gallons of water flushed. So,
I watched him do one time.
Well, obviously that's from the time that the main was constructed.
right, that's in there from the.
Yeah.
So,
Washed stone is what you
Is
got.
this something we post on the
Powder
internet
pen,
to,
big old
Well-
powder pen.
or is that
I mean, a
bad?
big old-
you want people to see the stuff that was in their pipes, and it's, yeah, I know.
I mean, the new flushing program, it's working.
So-
What we found.
So, just for comparison's
I
sake,
don't know.
in 2022, in the entire year, we flushed 200,000 gallons. 2023, when we were told flushing will help, we flushed 850,000 gallons. We're anticipating 1.5 million with just spring flushing this year, which we're gonna flush in fall again as well. So this year, we're gonna probably be
So you're gonna
close
do
to
the
3
same
million.
kind of.
We're not gonna do the full directional flushing in fall, just because it's a lot of labor. But I anticipate this year, we're gonna flush 3 million gallons of water this year. When 2 years ago, it was 200,000.
And that'll get everything.
They can't say we're not giving it a fair shake.
I mean,
I can
But
tell you
it's
what,
supposed to get
It's supposed to.
every pipe.
I haven't noticed any odors.
So whether or not it has helped,
I was just gonna ask, have we heard
I guess
I
that
think
would be
I
my
would say
question.
it probably has, because like he said, I mean,
I
know I was
every now and then I
occasionally-
used to get a
Yeah,
sniff of it.
yeah, and I don't remember.
I don't have
lately.
it anymore.
I
I
don't
don't
think
have
Your
it.
side of town was as bad.
Well, and Liz would be.
Well,
the
you're
one
on
to
a
ask.
dead end.
Yeah.
Actually, mine's been better too. Fill up the dog dish, I can't smell
Quite
chlorine.
as bad anymore. Well, that's good, so we're on the right track, it sounds like, and I think part of it is, it's inevitable, you know, people are used to not smelling any chlorine, so it's gonna take time to get used to it, but
I mean, if
hopefully
it's
at
there,
least
it's not nearly, I
it's
mean,
not as
I don't seem as
obtuse
strong
as it was before.
If it comes back, you'll know.
We will see.
Yeah, and maybe you do adjust after like 2 years, 3 years, because that's a lot of wasted, and that's a lot of wasted gallons, but the concern is a lot of stress on your infrastructure, right?
Yes and no.
Have you had
Because
any?
the fall wall water
All
is
that-
great
well,
doing it.
Yeah,
All
how
that
many
water's
leaks
finding
have you
its way
had?
to the sanitaries.
Did you find any leaks?
Of water, like water
Have you
leaks.
noticed any water leaks?
Well, You're saying out of the mains or into the
Mains.
sewers? Okay. Well, that was the next point that I'm gonna roll into here. When we started this program, it is common practice while you're flushing, because you know you're burning water, to have the wells running. Well, we learned that when you're doing vital runs of directional flushing, you shouldn't have the wells running. So we were isolated. Basically, there's two legs of pipe going to the water tower. We had isolated one side to directionally flush to one side, and the wells were pumping water through to fill the tower on the opposite side. Well, subsequently, with that restriction, we saw as high as 75 PSI in the system, and we popped a hole in one of the water mains. So first day of directional flushing, we had a water main.
But that section of road has 4 Band-Aids on it, so
Okay.
I don't think
Not
it was
necessarily
necessarily.
surprised.
Where?
That was on the corner.
Where the storage units,
down.
Dodge storage units, and
Behind the auto body shop.
that's the 4th Band-Aid line on that section.
Yeah, that's not new stuff in there.
So we had that dug up. They wound up finding basically a 1-inch hole just in the pipe, and it was right on the 90, where 90's over there. So we had purchased a 90, assuming that it just blew the 90 off, but it was just a hole in the pipe. So
I think that was ready to probably go a little better what it did eventually.
at some point, probably.
Because there's 2 by Animex, and then there's one on the other side of the intersection.
It was fortunate because Joe was just driving right past. He said, "You're gonna want to get down here. There's a lot of water coming out of the ground." Oh, great! We just started this. So, but it was fortunate that there were no services on that section of pipe, so we were able to just isolate it, turn it off right away, and leave it overnight until they could fix it the next day. Also fortunate that it wasn't under the street anywhere, so we will have some sidewalk to replace, but there won't be any asphalt, so I don't know if one's more expensive than the other, but
How many slabs was it?
4, I think. More speed.
Easy. Yeah, Paczynski's do it when they're in town. Pretty cheap.
So, yeah, so we had that water main break, and we've been flushing a ton of water. We had Nick and Liz had some flack from some previous employees that live in town saying what they're doing is silly, more or less, in some sort of words, but we're trying. That's all I can say.
It seems to be doing something, because these guys are noticing.
If it helps, I hope it helps. That's all I can say. And then,
It's,
Well, the fact that this isn't in the pipe anymore is a good thing.
and that's just the stuff that's big enough to get caught by the screen.
Mhm.
There's, as they're flushing it, you could see in the one picture, everything that's left on the road when
Yeah.
they leave. There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that's moving through. So. Anyway, next thing, at well 2, we do have quarterly monitoring still for radioactivity after the previous radium issues that you are, I'm sure, familiar with. With the most recent sample we sent in, we did have a gross alpha result of 15.1, and the MCL value for that contaminant is 15. So we were technically over our allowable concentration of gross alpha. But with talking with my DNR rep, we figured out that enforcement is based upon a running yearly average. So more or less, yes, we had a high result for this quarter, but we have the quarterly average has to surpass 15.5 because it's technically rounded, she claims. So we're okay for now. we'll see if this is a new trend or if it's just a oddball high result. I guess we'll keep an eye on it, because the DNR certainly will be.
This obviously should be something that we should be keeping in mindset before eventually something's gonna happen. Right?
It's had an issue before, it's moving towards issues again. And my struggle with that is spending too much money on our lowest capacity and oldest, one of our oldest wells. I don't know if it is for sure our oldest or not. I don't have that
I would
answer.
assume.
Well, what is the
Is it well one where the water tower was? Makes sense. But I hate to spend too much money on that as opposed to just moving on, but we'll keep an eye on it for now. And see where it takes us. I hate to say.
Thing is, you just never know what the quality is anywhere you go to the place.
Right, and that's the thing, is you say you wanna drill a new well, there's literature about radium in Wisconsin, and the band, the graphic that they have within it is the southeastern portion of the state. It's very common to be an issue, so you could move the other side of town and have the same issue. It just depends on what band of water you get in. Then again, if you're building a new well house, you might want to, say, employ a treatment technique from the beginning that will treat for it, so you don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, you could, something that crossed my mind is you could put in a new well house with softening in it, where, you're actually softening the water, which removes radium, so you would with no chance have radium issues, and then all your customers have soft water.
Is that why Waupun does theirs?
There's a lot of utilities that do that.
Yeah,
UC does it now?
Columbus does
Columbus
it.
does it.
I think Waupun was
Work
the
on
first
it.
on system.
They do something.
Something special, yeah. So that would be my personal inkling, is just put in some, from the beginning, just plan on treating for it. But I don't think it adds up to put in treatment at our existing facility.
Pond is reverse osmosis.
I think so.
That's what you move everything.
I don't have to verify that, but, yeah, so we'll be keeping an eye on that, and obviously, every 3 months, you'll hear a new number, I'm sure, so. We will see. Next item, the front gate at the wastewater treatment plant has been in poor condition for a long time. And, I don't know if it was just between the rain making it extra soggy, or if, without question, somebody at the project could have hit it, but it's no longer operable. So, a guy came out today. He looked at it and said more or less it's not worth fixing, it's too far gone. So,
The rollers or?
the post is, all the posts are way leaned over.
I think it probably could have been that wind, how soggy the ground was.
Yeah. So, the guy from Higher Fencing came out.
You do look at some of our poles, all of our poles have, especially on the Goose Trail, they only got like 1.5 inches space on
Just on the
the
side.
west side where that wind was blowing.
Yeah, so, he's putting a number together for me to, more or less replace the gate. Odds are we can't just on a whim replace it, I would imagine. And there's also the option too, to try to add it into the wastewater project. But at what point are you adding, paying the general contractor, paying the loans, paying the engineers for something we could just pay for?
Who did you contact?
That was Higher Fencing.
That was the cheapest.
So,
Replace it.
but he's gonna give me a number to replace it, and then also, hopefully, we can set it up, and I don't know if we do it right away or later, but then to set it up to have a actual actuator on it, because we have so many issues with the sheriffs have no consideration for not slamming it, and we're constantly fixing it, so it'd be nice if it was actuated automatically. So I will get some numbers for that, but it's something we're looking at. And we can always do a temporary gate if we have to budget for it to get done next year. You know, if it's just something we swing open and shut and just chain. But we will take a look at it. Influent pumps have been ordered and are anticipated to arrive in October. With the storms that we had, and it's kind of all happened at once, we had a skylight panel blow off of the old shed that we had, the cold storage they call it. So I'm trying to find somebody to fix that. Does anybody have a recommendation on a metal building contractor? I called Walters and they haven't called me back in like a week, so.
Not a good time of year to be after one of those things.
And it's not, the thing is, it's 12-inch on center, so it's not residential stuff that we can just go get. The ribs are bigger, so.
Plastic skyline?
Yeah, I looked fiberglass, but
Did you know, did it do damage to anything else? Is it something that we could just order the panel and we can screw it on?
yeah. So that's the thing, they gotta find somewhere to order it.
'Cause those usually, you can custom order, certain every length that you want, any length you want.
Right. And the hard part is just.
If you have the,
because it's-
if you have the panel, you go someplace
The old
like
one.
Zern's or something
Sure,
and see if you
they
could
can
match something
find
up
it,
for you.
something like that.
You can replace it with steel.
Well, you could even,
Eliminate
Yeah, but
it.
I mean, the steel would have the same,
Correct.
it has to be the
Same.
same pattern.
same
Right.
patterns. That's what I'm saying. Figure out what pattern you have and
And then
then
you just try to do it. Yeah. So within, another item was our flow meter partially stopped working. So it works in two senses. It emits a pulse every 100 gallons, and that's what actually reports our flow for the day. But then it also emits a 4 to 20 analog signal so we can watch our flow as it goes up and down. Well, the 4 to 20 output no longer works, so we are already replacing that. The new one's even partially installed, so we're just gonna be without a flow meter until we complete that installation, but they're anticipating another 2 to 3 months, so it's just one of those things, I guess. And then we burned out a couple of alarm relays that we found, and then our air conditioning unit stopped working as well, so.
same one that,
Same one that we just stuck $12,000 into.
Oh, good.
So, Crane came out to look at it, and it's one of the pressure switches that activates the fan to turn on and off. So, they had the low pressure switch on his truck. He's waiting on the high pressure switch to get replaced. So, that will be basically a new air conditioner before long. But that is the extent of what I have to talk about. I got to play electrician for a couple of days. Trying to sort all these things out.
All right. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? All right. I don't have anything.
The only thing I had, and took that up with Nick, there's been a request by Public Safety to get a couple street lights out in the Wild Goose subdivision. I told Mike, approached Nick about putting up a couple temporary poles, and probably one at the corner of Midway and one on the corner of East, which pretty much suffice for tying us over until such time we have a full-blown street improvement out there.
I did look into it a little bit, I was gonna bring it up in new business. Is this something the city would pay for, since it's gonna be a lost cost for us, as far as having to redo it then when that comes?
See, now that's throws a whole new light on the utility owning the lights.
Well,
It's,
as a department head, I wouldn't push for it, because why would we want to put something up that we're gonna rip down? Because my numbers are showing for a standard 175 foot span, usually it's 150 to 175. You're looking at, and a pole, you're looking at $3,000 a span. So, as a department, I don't think it's financially responsible for us to spend $6,000 to $10,000 for something that's gonna be taken out. I don't know, that's just my outlook on it.
I'm looking at it from a safety point of view. I have had a couple people inquire about it. In fact, one just over the weekend. I said, well, hey, I'm taking it to the utility meeting on Monday, whatever. I guess that would have to be something that, yeah, it's kind of retooled, you know, with the city not owning any lights now. But I don't know how the,
Well, I think there's always gonna be exemptions to certain plans, like you guys are wanting different lights up there, so you're paying the cost.
right.
Like, I don't know. I get it, but
Is a lot of that, where is a lot of that cost from? Just labor or everything?
yeah, I mean, you gotta look
Got a
at
burial
pole cost,
line.
burial,
Is there-
pipe, wire.
Can you put it somewhere, say closer to a power source where it'd be cheaper, but a less ideal location?
There's no, I looked at it, there's no good place to come
No.
from. The only places you can come off from are the existing streetlights that are coming down Highland, or you come out of that, because you don't want to add another meter either,
Right.
to have another charge for the city.
That's what I thought, going off that.
Or you can
lift
come off of that, but then,
Then you'd have a block going to the north and a block going to the east if you put one, a pole in each one of those corners.
I don't know.
So it'd be temporary for how long?
Is there intentions to get that street like permanent?
Usually the rule of thumb is, I think, our city ordinance says 60% built on or 80% sold, I think, before we can execute a full-blown street improvement. So there's quite a few vacant
Wow.
lots out there yet, even, yeah.
What, if you define 80% sold, the one
There's only
lady
4 left.
owns those 4
Yeah,
or 6
hasn't
lots.
executed, I guess.
Sold.
Yeah.
Because she's building on that one,
They're
I
planning
would
to
have to
build
think
on
it's
one.
over 60% already. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm just saying how many, there's only 4 open.
Well, there's gonna be 4 open in one block, a couple on the other block.
There's only, okay, there's 3 and 2,
Yeah.
so there's 5.
So it's grading for street level and sidewalk and all, that's it? Or we don't have any underground utilities that should all be new, right?
No, but we certainly wanna wait to see if he wants to execute that street out to Home Road. You know, we don't wanna jump on board before that, because then we bust up the finished street to get that work all done,
And
so.
I'm guessing,
I'm looking, I can't see that happening for the next 2 years.
Storm, I don't know what you guys are gonna do with Storm. I think Storm's gonna have to be all redone.
I would agree with that.
That's not-
I'd agree with that.
Well, if it's in 2 years, then that would be right in with another borrowing, so it'd be a better time money-wise.
No, you're not
Bless
gonna
you.
get any grant money out there.
You also have how many houses that are there, people with kids running around. I mean,
No, I was approached by it was brought up at the public safety meeting by the ambulance coordinator about how dark it is when they go out there on a response. So I can see that.
on the safety aspect, it should be done.
Right.
but he's
I
gonna
realize
work.
what you do now would be worthless for the future because you just do direct burial in the interim versus, putting it in the tube later on, but.
Yeah, I don't know. That'd be up to commission, I guess. It just sucks if you're getting rid of $10,000 probably roughly, I'd say, for something that's gonna get taken out in 2 years. I don't know, I get it. I don't leave that decision to you guys.
And the tough thing about it is, too, they've taken concrete driveways right down to match with the asphalt.
'Cause we
too.
gotta-
So he doesn't have a path without going,
I
boring
gotta-
underneath, so.
Hope I can hog and getting it down that Midway Road. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, cause there's that other pump for this pump in the basements, and
So what if you went overhead for 2 years? Not the desired, but maybe easier.
all
You're not figuring new poles for that?
no, the problem is we don't have any decent, like they're bad poles that we got right now. Like I don't think I would even put them in the ground. But I'll make sure I pull at least a couple off on the Goose Trail. We plan on doing like 6 on the Goose Trail this year. So, but no, I figured with the driveway crossings, and we're looking at around $3,000. And that was only two lights.
So maybe setting a pole down by that lift pump and putting a corner pole, and just spanning overhead with a triplex or a duplex, whatever you want.
But is that where the light's needed?
Well, I would think that would make the most sense, looking at it to be, if you're only gonna put 2 up, it would give you the most good, you know? You'd angle them over those 2 intersections, and I think you'd get the most bang for your buck, or the most satisfied customers down there, I guess is what I would say. Not gonna have room to guy them or anything like that, but slack spanning them from pole to pole would probably be the avenue to go.
People are gonna be hot down there.
Well, you'd be happy they got something,
Yeah.
you know, and it's gonna get better when the street comes. Be excited.
Is it them that's complaining, or is it just the?
I've had 2 of them that live down there that have approached me. In fact, one was just Sunday when I was checking our lift pump down there. Lived right next door, the one that's relaying the water into our lift. She says, hey, they're ever plan on putting up any street lights down here? And I just,
If only you knew you're gonna be paying for sidewalk and.
oh, we talked a little bit about that too. I says, yeah, I'm hoping we can get a couple temporary ones in here to buy us a little time before we do the full blown improvement. Well, they wouldn't put sidewalk down here. I said, oh, yes, they would.
We can redo the driveway then, because they're all poured flat.
Yeah, those driveways would get cut back and.
We do aprons and everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is that something that the city looks into, you know, for like these developers, like if you're gonna give these site plans, you know, that contractor got out scot-free without paying any of this stuff, you know?
Right. He did pay for what was put in the ground, I will say that much, but yeah, a lot of it could have been done better than what it was.
I know that there's like other communities that do these incentives, like you pay for X infrastructure, and when the house is sold, you get a certain amount of money from the city, because the money that the city's now gonna get tax money from those customers, and it's gonna have that paid off. I know Fox Lake does, I don't know what the number is, 2,500. Once the house is sold, they give to the customer, or 5,000 to once like the house is sold. They got 5 years to sell the properties, and I don't know. It's just these people just bought new houses, and I don't think they realize that what's coming to them, you know.
Well, that's just it. You'd like to prolong that final improvement until everybody's there to contribute. Nothing worse than owning a vacant lot and have to contribute only to rip it all out when you do finally build. Well, look it over, see what the other alternative is. Had them good poles you took down along East Oak Street, I could have relocated them.
Trust me, I wasn't getting them out of the ground. There's no way I was getting
He
those
cut them right
down.
off like trees.
There's no choice. They knew how to pour stuff back in the day, let me tell you. That was in China. Even though excavators had a hard time pulling them out.
All righty.
Well, maybe Plan Commission's gotta look at something, Dave. Kind of, you know, like I said, we're plowing new ground now, you know. If the city was owning the lights, then we'd probably, yeah, well, those are our lights, I guess we'll take responsibility or whatever.
Well, and can you, if they were to do that expansion, can you just mandate that construction traffic goes through Home Road? That they're not running trucks through the subdivision? And then just do the subdivision sooner?
I don't know,
I mean, we did it on Oak Street,
yeah, it wasn't easy.
and they didn't necessarily follow it.
Yeah, working at one end,
How did you know?
yeah, we'd certainly hope that I don't know, if either one of you guys heard anything from that developer at all, as far as?
No, because I missed that meeting, I had a follow-up call with them like the week after and introduced myself and, you know, he was pretty short with me on the phone.
Well, that's the way he is, though, that guy. Yeah.
But he said that he's interested in moving forward, pushing forward, but haven't heard anything since that meeting, so.
Yeah, he didn't push any documents through the city
No.
otherwise.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm sure he's kind of put out that he can't buy any of the existing lots if they're all taken.
And just one date I want to get out there quick, August 24th, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Pretty sure. August 24th is the RAD Day, Resident Appreciation Day, and we're going to be combining with the rec departments. The rec department's putting it on, but it's our 110th year anniversary. So we budget money for you know, donations and not parties, but stuff to give the kids at National Night Out, events, things like that. So we're gonna contribute money towards that. We're gonna have bucket truck rides. I talked to vendors for giving bigger prize donations like coolers, Yeti coolers, things like that. I will keep receipts so no one thinks that I'm taking anything from the vendors. But we're gonna be you know, doing raffling them off. There's going to be food trucks there. We're tinkering around the idea if we donate money to the food trucks, can we take off $1 per item so that more customers can afford it and bring their kids. There's going to be kite flying. So we haven't determined like what we're going to be contributing to it. We just know that we're going to combine and hopefully get more people to the event. Usually, you know, we did a 100th year anniversary, we just did a broth ride down there. It was okay, but you didn't attract a lot of people because it was during work hours. And, you know, we want to help out Jacob's cause and you can help out our cause. So we're going to combine and working with Eric from WPPI. He's got some ideas for little handouts that we do. And we're going to get a bigger banner like that to kind of put out there as well. And that we can use for any event, National Night Out as well. And so yeah, I just want to let you guys know that there is something in the works. August 24th, it's going to be called RAD Day, Resident Appreciation Day. And it's also going to say 110th year anniversary for Juneau Utilities. So,
does water and sewer have money for outreach budgeted anywhere?
Mhm.
I didn't think so.
Well, the majority of our donation money is actually WPPI stuff.
I was trying to attend National Night Out, stuff like that, because I feel like water sewer didn't always attend those things. I don't know, it did in the past, but not since I've been here. What hurt to have somebody there?
You can go in duck tank.
I was looking for volunteers for
Yeah.
that.
No, I'm good. I'll just tell everybody the water has
There's chlorine in there.
You should-
We didn't have to add any.
Trust me.
Take your bag of stones and say, this isn't in there.
It's untreated water.
All righty. Okay. I guess, moving on. Need to move into closed session.
I'll make a motion in closed session.
Is there a second? Motion by Dave, by Ross, second by Dave to move into closed session. Ross. Aye.
Aye, I'm sorry.
Dave.
Aye.
Art.
Aye.
Dick. Optional. Aye. We are now in closed session.